Hey you, what up? Welcome to my channel. Welcome back, Maryam here. This is the look that I prepared for you today using new makeup. A lot of new makeup, some of which cooperated, some of which did not cooperate, but you'd have to watch this video in its entirety to see exactly what went on. So if you are here for the newness, if you want to know what's new in makeup this month, then continue watching. Give me that thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't already, notification bell for those Wednesdays and Sundays videos. And now let's get into it. What's new in makeup? Let's test it and find out, shall we? Alright, so I do have a new primer to test out today. It is from YENSA Beauty. It's their Tone Up Primer Essential Glow, a lightweight satin sheen formula that minimizes fine lines, pores, and imperfections. Alright, I actually grabbed my MaryamNYC just in case this was not a perfecting type of primer. I'm gonna keep it handy just in case, but I'm gonna try out this one. It is brand new. I just stocked up on a few of their goodies. Well, actually, they just stocked me up on a few of their goodies. And YENSA Beauty, if you guys did not know, it is an AAPI owned brand. So that is something that is important to me. Should be important to all of us. I'm all about inclusivity, not exclusivity. I feel like that's long gone. And I gotta say, this primer feels divine. It feels like a cream on the skin. It does have a little bit of a tint, but it goes on really smooth, and you can just see how it's toning and perfecting the texture and also the tone of the skin. Feels just a little bit creamy, like a little bit slippery in a way that I like, but the finish looks fairly matte, but like a natural matte. Okay, so far so good. Also from YENSA Beauty, I have their new Super Serum Silk Foundation with vitamin C and E. And a lot of their products, if not all of their products, are infused with the power of 8. Black tea, black sesame oil, shiitake mushroom, black seaweed, chia seed, Korean black raspberry, nettle, and black rice. All right, so here we have the foundation. I like the packaging, very sleek. Prep the skin with YENSA Tone Up Primer. Just did that. Apply and blend an even layer of Super Serum Silk Foundation with any of YENSA Beauty tools. And they also sent me a brush. So I'm gonna test that out as well. I'm gonna apply some of this foundation to the back of my hand first. This is in the shade Medium Warm, which I think sounds like me. Wow, that is very full coverage. I was not expecting all that. And this brush, I will say, is just a little bit too fluffy. Also notice that this foundation kind of goes on like full coverage at first, but then it almost starts oxidizing to like a sheer coverage. Watch this. Do you see what I mean? It's kind of becoming more one with my skin. And then the more you glide the brush across, you can see it becoming a little bit lighter. This is a similar effect to the Dose of Colors concealer, as in it goes on super full coverage and then somehow it kind of dissipates. I would say the shade match is pretty good. I really honestly can't complain. Though I definitely picked up way too much product. I will not be using all that. And of course, when I first glide it across my forehead, it looks like it's a little bit too light. But then somehow it just starts to match. Is it one of those color shifting foundations like the Arborian CC cream and some of those K-Beauty brand tinted moisturizers? I don't know, but this is a serum foundation. The finish, I will say, is pretty dewy. It is absolutely not matte. I see a lot of dew, and because I have an oily skin type, that worries me just a little bit. Will that make me look super greasy? Will this effect work for me? And because the finish is very wet, my hair is actually sticking to it, it doesn't seem to be setting right away. I do really like the shade match. This is a nice, natural, true medium warm foundation / skin shade. And I'm not mad at it. I'm intrigued. Definitely will not be utilizing the remainder of that because what I have on my face is more than enough. And I think I only released 2 pumps to the back of my hand. And I probably used about 1 to 1.5 pumps. The rest, as you can see, I'm removing. Try to see if it will give me the same radiant finish on my hand that has no primer. And looks like it is. I almost feel like I need to take a puff or a sponge. I'm gonna take a little Huda Beauty puff from the previous video. If you didn't see that one, you should. But anyway, I'm gonna take this puff. I'm just gonna remove some of the shine from the center of my face. Maybe it's too much product, maybe it's a little too wet. I just need to set it with a dry puff. There's nothing on this. But before I can move on, I just need to make this look a little bit better for me. If you are a dry skin type, you will probably love this finish. Also, if you are more mature, if you have more mature skin, you will probably really appreciate this as well. Because it is absolutely not highlighting imperfections, but it is giving a lot of luminosity and just a lot of radiance. A lot more radiance than I'm used to, which is why I'm just patting some off. looks like it's not really doing much, but that's okay. I'm intrigued, like I said. I don't know how well this will wear. Let me know if you guys are curious about that, and I'll definitely let you know my experience in the comments. For now, I have one more product from them to test out, and it is their Super Serum Silk Concealer. Oh boy. So the shade that I have here, Light 2. Okay, great, because I would want something a little bit lighter for highlighting and specifically for brightening the under eye. Let's see. I think this is a nice shade. Feels very, very creamy. Also, there's no scent whatsoever. Okay, I'm gonna try to blend that out with a brush. Perhaps the Makeup by Mario concealer brush. This concealer feels like the KOSAS concealer. It actually is reminding me a lot of that one. It is creamy, but not too solid, meaning that it moves and it feels liquidy enough. I'm just gonna keep this puff handy for a little bit of blending. I think the coverage on this is pretty good. The color, Light 2, seems to be working just fine for me. I am able to blend it out and kind of sheer it out, and it isn't causing any of that staining to the area where I applied it. The coverage is pretty good. Also has a little bit of that radiant finish, but not as radiant as the foundation. This is a little bit more on the natural side. All right, and so the under eye is the last part that I'm blending out because I want this to have maximum coverage, maximum brightening. Notice how the color is shifting. So it has sat on my face for a couple minutes now, and the color of the concealer is now starting to look orange. But once I start blending it out, it goes back to its original color. So I'm not sure if we can attribute that to oxidization or what, if it's actually changing colors, but it is something to note. All right, let's actually go for it. You see how it just completely shifted colors? I noticed the same thing in the Dose of Colors concealer. And sometimes it's hard for me to find my actual match because of that. Because I like to let my concealer sit on my face for a little bit. I like for it to get a little bit more solid before blending it out. That way you're really maximizing the coverage, you know? So I'm not sure that's a feature that I personally appreciate. It's a little bit confusing to me. Also, I'm not sure that they meant for that to be there. But I gotta say, the coverage is pretty good. And the shade match is nice. It is really, really nice. Okay, setting all of that aside, for the blush, I've got my hands on the Attention Seeker 3D Blush Trio from OneSize. Yes, the one. I'm pretty sure this has been sold out. And so what I'm gonna do is actually reach for the top shade, which is a cream here. I'm gonna use this Keys Soul Care brush, load it up, and add that to the apples on my cheeks. I mean, I can totally understand why this color is sold out. It is such a fresh, pretty color. I gotta say, YENSA Beauty also has a similar blush color that I was using all summer long, and it's a very similar formula, but the OneSize is cool because it also has 2 powder blushes on top of the cream, and one can be used as like a highlighter. This is so pigmented. Holy crap, this is so much more pigmented than I was expecting, but this is what testing new makeup is all about. I had no idea it was that serious, but I love it. Let's bring back the Barbie trend. I'm not sure if it's still here or if it's went away. It's one thing about trends that really gets under my skin. The moment we get into a trend, it's already considered gone. I don't know about you, but me personally, I'm not really a trends follower or a trend seeker. I think timeless is classic, and moreover, whatever works for you is even more classic. And if you like pink blush, regardless of the trend, then by all means, go for the pink blush. This is a very cool pink though, I will say. The YENSA Beauty one, Pink Bliss, is also pink, but this is not as cool. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but the OneSize almost leans a little bit more lavender. This one, to me, is a pinch more wearable, at least on my skin tone, but I still like this. All right, so now for the setting powder. You guessed it, I've got my hands on the Ultra Pink setting powder from OneSize, which, by the way, is one of my favorite setting powders. And I'm so excited to finally have it in pink. I am for sure gonna use this in my under eye. I am gonna use a little brush because that's typically what I use with the OneSize powders. I don't really like to use a puff or a beauty blender. So I'm gonna stick to my method. I'm gonna go ahead and set that under eye. At first impression, I will say, this looks really good on camera, but in my mirror, it's looking a little bit too makeup-y. It is looking just a pinch too cakey. I don't know if this powder is compatible with that concealer. I feel like this together is just too much. I'm gonna try to show you a close-up. Can't guarantee that you'll actually see what I'm talking about on camera, and I don't think you do, but the way that it is looking over here in my mirror, it is just looking like a layer of product sitting on top of my skin. Of course you can't tell. And I don't know what it is about makeup lately. Maybe it's just because makeup is made to look really good on camera and not so great in real life. But this to me is just not the greatest combo. And you know what? I have another powder from One Size, which is the Stage White Turn Up the Base. So literally this is the baking and snatching powder from One Size that I want to be able to use, but I'm almost afraid to use because right now I have so much going on. I think I'm just gonna leave this for another video for when my makeup is a little bit more on the natural side. I'm just gonna reach for my essence and set the rest of my face with that. Oh man, that forehead is shiny. Ooh, oily girls, you are not gonna like this. I'm gonna go ahead and set the rest of my face. This is the Jones Road bronzer brush that I use for my powder because it is massive, and so is my forehead. Too cakey for me. Okay, I am gonna reach for this One Size for one tiny little nuance, and that is the following. I'm gonna grab a little bit of this white powder on my brush here. Just gonna dab that right here in between my brows just to brighten this area specifically. And I'm not baking and pressing it in, I'm just lightly dusting it in between my brows. Just bring a little bit of light down my nose bridge, tip of the nose, and then I'm also going to set my lids just like that. I can kind of see the white powder when I turn to the side, so I'm just gonna brush and blend that out a bit better. Onto the brows. In the brow category, I have a bunch of new stuff from NYX. None of it is actually new, with the exception of the Zero to Brow gel. The rest are products that I'm well familiar with, but this particular gel I haven't yet tried, so kind of excited. So it looks like there is a spoolie on one side, and it looks like there's a gel on the other side. I guess I'm gonna use the spoolie and brush out my brows first, making sure there's no powder in them. All right, so then I'm gonna go ahead and use this gel. Oh wow, this gel is actually, oh my God, really messy. And it has a shade, like a dark gray type of color. So it's like a tinted brow gel. I'm not really sure how to use this. This is pretty messy. And I don't know why they don't just have the spoolie inside the actual brow gel. Holy crap, what is actually happening? Maybe this is a gel stain because it seems to be staining my skin underneath my brow. And that is the last thing that I need because my brows are already so dark. What have I done? Okay, we are going to ignore that. I'm just gonna grab a Q-tip and attempt to clean up this brow. Oh, I do not like this product. This is messy. It is not intuitive. It is just weird. It's absolutely not gluing my brows together. What is this supposed to do, actually? I don't like it at all. That was not an amazing experience. NYX Zero to Brow Gel is a pass for me. That was scary. So my camera cut off. I was able to somewhat fix the brow, not really. I used the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Black, which I have used before, but I'm just not sure about that brow gel. It feels very weird, not my cup of tea. So instead, I'm just gonna use the Micro Brow Pencil on this side, extend my brow tail, just a pinchy poo, blend that out, and then I'm gonna just use the NYX Brow Glue that I'm well familiar with, and I'm gonna glue this one down. This, for me, is one of the first waxy types of brow gels that I've tried that actually works for my coarse brows. Everything before this product has not really worked, and everything after this product, talking about Rare Beauty and Dominique Cosmetics, which has a similar feel, similar finish too, has also worked. So I don't know what has shifted in the technology of brow gels, but to me, NYX was the first to introduce it in this specific brow glue. And it is very inexpensive, so I still use it and I still love it. Let me see if I can try to fix this crazy brow, which honestly is like stuck in that same creepy position. It almost looks like I applied black hair dye to my brow and now it's like impossible to comb through it. I do not recommend that other brow gel. That one was difficult to use, to say the least. Okay, but I think with the help of the brow glue, I was somehow able to make it work. But do you just see how much more blocky this brow looks compared to this one? This one still looks thick and groomed, but this one just looks so dense, like just so dense, like a dense forest. Not a vibe, not for me. Okay, we're gonna leave the brows as is. I'm gonna go back to the One Size blush. I'm gonna go for the powder blush now. That is so bright. I'm gonna set that cream blush that I already set with powder, a little bit of the powder blush. This is very strong, very pink, but if you like that sort of thing, you will like this particular blush quad trio. One more thing I wanted to test out, and hopefully this will actually kind of help my skin look a little bit more natural. And yes, I am applying more product, so technically it shouldn't look more natural, but with this particular product, it actually should. I'm talking about the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Press Powder. Talked about this one before, but this is in the shade yellow. So this is gonna help me sort of blend this pink into the rest of my skin. I'm gonna use the same old brush, swirl that in there. And because this is a finishing powder, it should add a little bit of that natural sort of glow, which I think it did. And it should just make everything flow together a little bit nicer. I think that was actually a pleasant experience, but I'm already well familiar with this product and I knew that that was going to be a good experience. Okay guys, so my eye look is now complete, but unfortunately my mic battery died as I was talking about the eyeshadow palette and doing my look. So what I'm going to do to save this video, because this is what you want to see, is I'm actually going to tell you about this palette, this KOSAS Undressed, while I overlay the footage of me applying the eyeshadows to my eyes. So when I first looked at this eyeshadow palette, I was pleasantly surprised. Unfortunately, I did think this was probably the light version of this palette, meaning that there would also be a deep version of this palette, but I think this is the only palette. And if this is the only palette, then I don't really see this being very inclusive of the deeper skin tones. I see this being an eyeshadow palette for the lighter skin tones only, given that there's only one brown shade and the rest of them are pretty light. So what I did was I applied a little bit of the shade Drape, which has kind of like an olive undertone. I applied it to the eye socket, and then I used the brown shade Flaunt to define my eye socket, and then I used shade Untie and kind of merge those two together, and here is the look, although it is not the final look. So now at this point we are back, the mic is on. I'm gonna pick up this one size pressed powder in white. I'm gonna dip this Huda Beauty puff into it, and what I'm gonna do is highlight and sort of cut that outer portion underneath the eyeshadow wing. I'm also gonna do that on this side. Just gonna do a little bit of baking, maybe a pinch under the brow bone as well for just like a brightening effect. I'm gonna keep that on for a little bit. Then I'm gonna go back to this palette, shade Hunt, and just smoke and blur that line a little bit further, like so, and like that. So there's also a shimmery shade in here called Strip. I'm gonna pick that up on my finger. I'm gonna add that all over the movable part of the lid. It's kind of like a sandy beige color, not the most pigmented. I actually like the mattes a little bit more. Good enough. So essentially I am done with this eyeshadow palette. I think I was able to make it work and I like it, but I don't exactly love it. So now I'm gonna buff away that white powder from the top of my cheekbone. I do like that snatching effect that it just had on my cheekbone. I think that's pretty cool. Now I'm gonna go back to Bobbi Brown. I'm gonna reach for their highlighting powder in the shade Pink Glow. One of my favorites actually. I'm gonna swirl that. I'm gonna add that right on top so that it doesn't look too powdery, so that there's actually a reflect. You get what I'm trying to do. And then once more, I'm gonna go back to the one size blush trio. I'm gonna dip into the shimmery blush, and ever so slightly, I'm just gonna merge the highlighter with the blush. And I'm adding this mostly to the back of the cheekbone, not so much to the front where I have pores and acne scars. I'm avoiding the center area altogether. I'm just applying it from the cheekbone to the temple and out. I have one more really cool product to test out, and it is from ELDRIDGE. It's her new gel liners, Seamless Glide eye pencils. I have them here in 3 shades: Burnt Umber, Renaissance Gold, and Black Treacle. I love Lisa and I love her makeup aesthetic, so I have high hopes for these. So I'm gonna go for the Burnt Umber first, applying that straight to my lid. This is super, super creamy. Just a beautiful brown gel-like pencil that applies super smoothly and super precisely. Apply a little bit to the lower lash line, and then I'm gonna see if I can do the Renaissance Gold on the waterline. Oh, so stunning. So, so pretty. So now I'm gonna add that shade Drape underneath just to smoke and smudge. Oh my. I will say this eye pencil is really easy to smudge. Gives you a lot of time and a lot of playing room. So now I really decided to do the most and smudge it on the top lash line as well. And so I'm just gonna add a little bit of precision with a liquid liner from Jane Iredale. This is shade Black. I just wanted to add a little bit of that. I like mixing brown smudgy liner with a black precise liquid liner for like a super smoldering look. And to be honest with you, I didn't know that this was gonna be a smoldering look, but the way this video is coming out, I'm just going with it. Okay, adding mascara, Should have probably added falsies. Just grabbed whatever mascara I had lying around, and it's the Diamond Mascara from Physicians Formula, and this is supposed to be a mineral formula? Well, I'm not sure. For the lips, finally gonna test out the Polite Society. On camera, I've actually been wearing it. Off camera, I've been wearing it 2 events, and I am obsessed. This is a great little lip plumper. It works, and I am a fan. All right, so here is my final look using all the newness. I gotta say, this was not the most intuitive. This was not the easiest look to put together. I feel like from the very beginning, from the YENSA Beauty Foundation to their concealer to the one size powder that clearly was not compatible with the concealer or with the foundation, I just found myself in trouble. I found myself troubleshooting this makeup and trying to make it look good and feel good on my skin. I think I was able to accomplish that somewhat. I will give myself a B+ for effort, but I will say that the formula of this foundation and this powder is just not a good match. The finish on the face looks very, very heavy and very cakey and very makeup-y. I don't really like the way that it looks on me. I'm not into that sort of look. In 2023, I am looking for something a little bit more natural, something more skin perfecting as opposed to looking like makeup. And this for sure feels and looks more makeup-y to me. However, I will say that on camera in my monitor, it looks okay. It looks actually quite nice. So I'm not sure if this makeup is camera friendly but not real life friendly. I'm not sure what is going on, but that's just kind of my feel. That's my consensus. Also, was not crazy about this NYX Zero to Brow Gel. I don't really understand if this was a brow dye or if this was some sort of a staining tint type of product. I found it to be messy. I found it to be difficult to use. I did not like it one bit. The KOSAS Undressed palette seems like a nice palette if you are of a lighter skin tone, but if you're a deeper complexion, you probably won't have too much use for this because the shades are on the lighter side. What else? The Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Powder in the shade Yellow is a hit. It's always been a hit with me and is still a hit. This was the one product that I added on that seemed to marry everything on my face somewhat cohesively, so thank God for this. Everything else was kind of like a trial and error type of situation. I do really love this new Polite Society Big Mouth Plumping Oil Gloss. It is in fact very much plumping and you feel it, not just immediately, but also 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes into wearing this product. You really see the plumping effect happening and I'm here for it. I think this one size white powder for snatching and brightening is definitely better than the Huda Beauty version that I reviewed in my previous video, so I will keep that one around. It seemed to have done the trick here in my brow bone, temple, cheekbone area, and I like the effect. So that is my video. That is my story. I hope you're here for it. And I hope you enjoyed this kind of hectic video of mine. So on that note, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna say farewell to you guys. I'm gonna zoom on out. I'm gonna say peace out because I am out. Check out more videos over here. Deuces.